Hello and welcome to another episode of Commander Fodder. So we're still on Mercadian Masques, but we've moved on to the theme decks from that set, or one of the theme decks, as our Commander Fodder. And I think in a previous episode I'd already mentioned the one that I wanted to use, but I'm just going to go through the theme decks once again. I know I went through them in the episode of set musings, but it's useful if you've not seen that video. So we have Deepwood Menace, which is red-green. The rares are Battle Squadron and Natural Affinity. There's a Disruptor deck, which is black-red, which is about land and hand destruction, which I think you've seen from some of the Deck Dirtle episodes, or the Deck Dirtle episode for this set. There's definitely a hand and land destruction in there, and also through the set musings as well. The rares are Silent Assassin and Thrashing Wampus. Rebel's Call, mono white deck, Rebel Tribal, and the rares are Cho-Manno Revolutionary and Remosian Sky Marshal. And then finally Tidal Mastery, which is a white-blue deck. Counterspell deck with creature defense, and then looks like some higher end finishers, of which it's always tricky to find. Looks like there's quite a few defensive creatures here. Not quite sure in this deck what the finisher is, or finishers are for this. The rares are Chiron Archive and Overtaker. Interesting, looks like you're stealing stuff as well. So those are the theme decks we've got to choose from, and basically I've decided, mainly because of the presence of Cho-Manno here, a legendary, is to focus in on this. So we're going to go with Rebel Tribal with Cho-Manno as our commander. So let's just have a quick look at closer look at the deck. I switched over here to Architect. So as you can see, mono white deck, very creature heavy, and these, or some of these rebels, let me try and find them, had this recruiter, recruiter ability, I think they called it, where it will search the library for a rebel card with a converted mana cost of, in this case, 4, but they're all different for different creatures, and then, or less, which is pretty important, and put that card into play, then shuffle your library. The nice thing is that it doesn't replace the card that's in play, so it comes out, so it puts it into your hand and then you play it, so you get to keep the original one. It's a pretty high cost. Yeah, the Sky Marshal, 7 to activate, tap it, searches for anything 6 or less. And there's a few other rebels in the set which don't have that recruiter ability, but have useful abilities in and of themselves. Just got smattering of instants here, creature destruction, way of dealing with artifacts and enchantments, and pump spell, instant speed, and it's got that alternate cost on it. We're paying plain, so yeah, that'll be a thing. Also got a rest in here. Cho-Manno's Blessing, which takes a theme on Cho-Manno of redirection, or sorry, not redirection, but protection. Prevent all damage that would be dealt due to Cho-Manno Revolutionary. and sticks it to an enchantment. So creature enchantments, an aura. And then we've got Moonlit Wake. Whenever a creature is put into a graveyard and play, you gain 1 life. So that's the original deck. If we move that over into this version, so what I've done here, I've deliberately not removed anything from that deck, but what I obviously have done is reduced everything to a count of 1 to make it commander friendly, or within the rules of Commander where you have a single copy. So there's actually 14 single creatures in the deck. We've got Cho-Manno as a commander, and then all the other elements are here. Now additionally, what I'm going to also do here, I don't always do this, often at this point, once this is my sort of deck seed here, and then I'll go with that and start pulling down my recommendations. And I could do that, this is all set up ready to go. And again, I'm going to use the Architect recommendations where I can. It seems to have a much wider net, which I like, and it's nice when you get like a lot of choices, because if you remember, what I'm trying to do is use it more as a way of remembering certain cards, and then that way, rather than I found if I use the EDH rec recommendation, although it's great, it's obviously going to funnel it to certain cards and create a much tighter set of choices. So I quite like the wide choice here. It gives me a bit of wiggle room to do this. But I'm also going to add in some additional rebels in here. Seeing as the rebel tribal theme, I want it to be heavily invested in that. So there are some other rebels outside of the deck, and also outside of the set. The set itself had additional rebels in it which aren't in the deck, which I can add. There was rebels from later on in the block, which we're going to obviously come across in later episodes of set musings, but obviously weren't included in this particular theme deck because they hadn't been released yet. And then also there was rebels in a lot later sets as well, and I'm sure we'll stumble across some ones that I've forgotten about. Also, I just wanted to put in a few utility spells that I thought either I didn't want to forget, so I'm going to put in a Rogue's Passage, seeing as we got a creature heavy deck. The other thing I wanted to put in was Arena here. Now, in terms of stuff from Mercadian Masques Rebels, Cho-Arrim Bruiser is one that isn't in the deck, but is in the set. Jhovall Queen, which we pulled as part of an episode of the Deck Durdle. Also, I wanted to put in the Pariah combo from here. We'll take a look at what sets this has been printed in as well. I'm going to leave it on this because it's better that way. I don't get double recommended, as you've noticed. So one of the reasons why I've not been changing the artwork like I used to is because it was a problem where if I changed the artwork, it would recommend the card again in one of the recommender engines, because it goes by the set of the card to decide if it's already added it. So just to show you but not change it, I've got to take the Crown one, so it just goes to the most recent one. That was originally from Urza's Saga, and then it got reprinted in 10th edition, and funnily enough, Cho-Manno was also reprinted in 10th edition. So in terms of the rebels from later sets, you can see here Nemesis. So we've got a few from Nemesis, which obviously in the grand scheme of things wouldn't have come out yet, but I'm going to put these in. And you can see these have that recruiter ability on them, so I'm going to put them in. Then later on, we've got some from that Time Spiral block. So this one would be from actually the Future Sight set, but these ones here are from original Time Spiral. I suspect they were, some of these were reprinted in Time Spiral Remastered as well, I'm not sure. But actually I can check, can't I? Yeah. And we probably might go, you know, I could go, I'm not going to, but I could go through some of these and we probably would find that some of these are also reprinted in that remastered, oh no, sorry, what am I talking? I'm talking rubbish, sorry. Yeah, there wouldn't be, because it was only stuff remastered from Time Spiral, it wasn't like a master set, that's why I sometimes get a little bit muddled up. So, yeah. So these ones for original Time Spiral, and this one, as I've said, was a Future Sight, which was from that block. Was that reprinted in? No, they didn't reprint that. Okay. And we got Pariah's Shield. All damage that will be dealt to you is dealt to a grip creature instead. I sort of was reminded of this or rediscovered it when I was thinking about Pariah and the interaction, so I thought this would be an interesting piece of equipment to have in this seed here. So that's from Ravnica. It was never reprinted. It's about 16 bucks, so it's on the pricier side of things. So let's just put that in, and that's how I'm going to leave it for the moment. I could seed a lot more stuff. There's probably some equipment in here that'd be interested to put in to equip up Cho-Manno, and probably some enchantments, but we're going to rely on the recommendation engine to try and do that for us. So we've got quite a good creature count going on. I've already, these are now cranked up around 36, so let's just, this land side of thing, let's just get rid of that. I did the Mercadian Masques, that's all done. Okay, so we're doing Cho-Manno. Now, obviously what I'm hoping is there may be additional rebels that I've missed. That would be cool. That was the case. It will be interesting to see whether there's some, because we've got the rebel side of things here. The other thing is, I suspect it'll, most of the creatures will be rebels, and then that'll probably take up a high percentage of the creature count. And then what will happen from there is we'll probably get a lot of suggestions from the algorithm connected to artifacts and enchantments. I think that's a given really with this particular creature. There probably is a whole load of utility creatures we could add potentially, but I think it's just interesting to go down the rebel side of things for the moment, just to see where that might take us. In this particular instance, obviously a lot of decks you would build using Cho-Manno would play to the prevent all damage mainly, but we'll just see what happens. That's part of the fun of this. Okay, Pariah's Shield, right, so we'll put in a Soul Ring, and we will do Swiftfoot Boots. What else have we got? Stuffy Dial is a recommendation. Damage, it deals how much damage to the chosen player. So it's another redirect damage thing, but it is redirecting to another player. interesting. If a creature would deal combat damage, it deals double that damage instead of another creature. Okay, yep. I like the sound of that. And good old Loxodon Warhammer. Do I want to be playing around with Skull Clamp? That's interesting because we're playing Plains. Oh, I've not seen this before. Tagging does not cause creatures to tap. That's all creatures though, so it gives everything. I don't know if I want that. Bone Splitter. Yep, that's Champion's Helm would be a good thing. That's cool in a mono white deck. Like that. So we're just going to buff up our creatures here. Do we give it Death Touch? That would be nasty. I keep forgetting about things like Haunted Plain Mail. It's an interesting card. Oh, I know what I want to do. Right, what I'm looking for, I could do this combo, but I don't think I want to. Oh, good old Steel Hellkite. Okay. Oh, what I'm trying to find, and I'm terrible about this, I think it's yeah, it should come to me, it's not majorly important, but I'm looking for stuff that just gives it an obscene amount of power. Oh, 16 artifacts, wow. Okay. It's interesting. Okay. Yep. Suited up. Okay, let's see what enchantments we can suggest here. Oops, wrong one, sorry. So we'll skip over the creatures for the moment. I'm just going to stick with the rebel theme. It'll be fun. Okay, enchanted creature may block. That's good, and that's already in the deck. We've already got an Entangler in there, interestingly enough. So Armored Ascension, yes please. You may cast aura and equipment spells as though they had flash. Okay, that's good. Now we're seeing some interesting synergies actually. I took the enchantment cast, you 2 more to cast. Interesting inclusion. Let's see what else we've got here. Double strike. For all my creatures' vigilance. Yep. Ah, there we go. Yeah, it's an enchantment. That's the one I wanted. Eldrazi Conscription. So if we went for a fairly high enchantment count, this does have the potential to get high. These are interesting because these have totem armor. With that on Cho-Manno, it makes it pretty much like nothing can do it damage, nothing have destroy. It would be could be the target of a, or could be vulnerable to a sack style spell, of course. Player's upkeep karma deals damage to that player equal to the number of swamps he or she controls. Attack, let's do across the board. Mammoth Umbra is cool. Oh. I mean, I don't know how enchantment heavy I am. That's an interesting card. I think we have a yeah. Let me just, I just want to have a look at for a creature. That would be a good alternate build here. Like I said, is you could, not go with the rebel theme and just have a whole load of utility creatures that back up Cho-Manno's ability, and things like protect your artifacts. I'll avoid. I just any deck. I just want to put Steel Hellkite in, but I'm just going to avoid it. Well, it's interesting. So we're playing enchantments. Let's put another enchantment in. One of the oops. Sometimes I want to think about a better setup here actually, because of this is my keyboard, so I can get close to the microphone. But one time I'll have to get one of those boom arms, I think. Once again, there's a creature I'm trying to think of, and it's it's gone from my mind. Oh well, never mind. It's not important. It was just as a utility creature. Okay, 92. So better start putting some instants and sorceries in here. I suspect there's some stuff that could come out. What I'll probably do is some of the instants sorceries that don't make the deck, I'm going to sideboard those. One thing I will do, because I always forget, is let me just have a look at the land. Obviously we want to keep fairly high plains count, because there's some cards in here that care about that. So put a target card from the graveyard on the bottom of your library. Okay, that's nice. So's that. Yeah, that would be good. I like this card as well. Seeing as we're playing mono white, just check. Maybe I'm getting muddled up here. Yeah, I'm surprised we're not playing. Didn't suggest a crew land. Okay, so all we've got to do is bring this count down a bit. Okay, so we've got a few instances already. obviously, let's see what it recommends. We could do it instant speed. Okay, so we could play Swords to Plowshares. I believe Disenchant is already in there. It's just because it was in the original Mercadian Masques artwork, so not a problem there. The owner of the targeted non-land permanent shuffles. That's interesting. Okay. Let's do path. Swords. That was always a really interesting card before they changed the some of the rules in Commander, where you could sort of tuck a commander in the library. That I would quite like in here. I do like crib swap. I could put a Dark Steel mutation in as well, but I think I'll hold off on that. Let me just sideboard that. Let's dear me, what's the matter? I think it's Dark Steel mutation I'm thinking of. There it is. It's interesting that that's an enchantment. It's just sideboard that out. Okay, so we got 4 slots left. Let's look at some sorcery speed removal. In here. Okay, what do we got? Planar cleansing. Destroy all non-land permanents. Yep. So we've got some interesting sorcery speed. I didn't think of that. Tutors actually. Yeah, in an enchantment deck, that's really cool. One card. There's something else in here as well. Idyllic Tutor. Oh, I know. Yeah, you know what I'm going to do. Oh, God. What's the name of that card? Just thought of another one. I should have a list. I keep saying this. I should have a list down the side of stapled all my sort of staples in different colours, which I just can't resist playing. Yeah, I'm just going to play around a little bit with a few more cards and then sideboard some stuff. That's interesting. Each creature deals damage to power to itself. That's actually cool in this deck. Okay. So now that's in here. I will just. What did the? Oh, okay. That was online only. Let's look at some of the alternate artwork. Oh, that's interesting. Need to lose a couple of cards. I think that is it. I mean, obviously there's a whole ton of other things. You know, you've got actually what might make more sense in here, thinking about it, is Mass Calcify. So 5 and 2 white for just creatures. That might make more sense in there. Let's just sideboard that for the moment. Then you've obviously got things like Day of Judgment as well, and Rout. Yeah, so plenty of choices in here. And then sort of instant speed, spot removal, things like Condemn as well. And of course other things like Holy Day would be another instant speed thing you could put in there. And as I mentioned, I've kept it more on the rebel side of things, but if you wanted to sort of downplay that or take out some of the weaker rebel cards, then there's a whole load of utility creatures as well you could add in here, which would help more on the enchantment or equipment side of things. But as I've said on several occasions now, of course, that's not really what the purpose of the episodes are. They're basically seeing if you see the deck in a certain way, where that takes you design wise. Either if you're doing it completely manually, where you just know the magic cards and you can say, okay, well, I'm playing a rebel white deck, therefore I need to play the following, or you're doing like I'm doing, where I just don't have that acquired knowledge across multiple sets, where I'm sort of using Architect's recommendation engine as a sort of crutch, really, to help me out there. So that's what we've ended up with. As always, again, there's a couple of cards in here that I just, oh, I know, let me sideboard this, it's just come to me. So some interesting utility cards here. Won't be in the deck. And And then I suddenly thought of another one as well. It's gone. Oh. There we go. Hellish Norm. We didn't put any, one thing we didn't add was I've not added any planeswalkers to this. Where did my, Phyrexian Rebirth, yeah, that's a sorcery. Have a quick look, just to do that. Johnny Goldmane and Elspeth. And then I'm trying to remember in this, I don't think I can do it very well in here. Don't think, yeah, no, I think I'll super advanced fancy search. I wish in here, actually, one thing I wish there was a separate search in here that did just separate out and suggest more legendaries, actually, because often when you're putting together these decks, and there's a few here actually, there's some pretty interesting like support legendaries which would work well in the deck. That are pretty fun. Okay, so there we have it finally. So that's my Rebels Call Commander Fodder build. As I've said, that there's loads of different additional utility stuff you could add in here, and again, yeah, I really do need a off-camera list of for the various colours. It's cards that I tend to forget, which is quite a few, which is one of the reasons why I like using these suggestion tools, because just sometimes my mind is just not focused. I just can't remember some of that stuff. So once again, thanks for watching, and bye for now.